top former energy official claims an attack on an American power grid was terrorism.
The Metcalfe attack pointed out that the substations are important parts of our national grid, but they're completely unprotected.
Was that a consideration for you in the Journal in publishing this?
This attack did happen, but you didn't hear a peep out of the utility whose substation was attacked.
Last month, the Wall Street Journal published an article. Publication of such information about the grid undermines its security.
Cheryl LaFleur is the chair of the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. She should know that this information is in the public domain.
For the electric grid, reliability and affordability must remain our core considerations.
I was at a hearing in Washington a couple of months ago where the issue was the power grid and how we can strengthen it. It wasn't about how we could strengthen the power grid. It was how are we going to make sure this information doesn't get out to the American people.
Instead of helping to protect the grid from attack, the disclosures that we have seen potentially increase its physical vulnerability.
Senator Murkowski is making it sound as though having information out in the public makes the grid more vulnerable. But in fact, hiding it is what makes it more vulnerable.
We have 5 major threats that make our grid extremely vulnerable that we've presented to congressional officials. 1 being cyber, 2 being hackers, 3 being physical threats, 4th one is solar EMP, and the 5th one is man-made EMP. So the concern that we have is that we put out this critical information, and when we go over this risk analysis, they hear what we're saying, but they don't want to take action.
Whether it's a solar storm, or it's the space program, or it's our intelligence briefings, our Congress, our president, we have to have some faith that they know what they're doing. And every one of these branches are protected from EMP. They're all protected. The White House is protected from an EMP. The Congress and the CIA and the NSA, all of the areas that need to function in the government are protected. So why can't we be protected? Why can't the people be protected? And that's where the disconnect is.
If our grid goes down, you can't cook, you're not going to heat anything, you can't run any of your medical supplies, you can't talk on your phone, you can't take money out of a bank, and we turn into total chaos.
In 2010, the House of Representatives in Congress passed the Grid Act unanimously. Senator Murkowski in the Senate blocked it from even being heard. But part of the reason that I'm running is to keep up the commitment to securing the electric grids from a long-term, widespread blackout. And I had brought legislation last year to the legislature and it passed. It's a national issue. In fact, it's a global issue. And Maine's the first state to have passed this kind of legislation. So what it calls for is putting protections on the grid so that we don't have this kind of total collapse that would have it down for, have us blacked out for months or even years, which would be essentially not survivable without these protections. It really is important because the industry has a position of thinking they don't want to do anything about this, really. And they say, we're working on it.
EMP Threat Commission's chairman, Dr. William Graham, concluded on the basis of extensive study that he and his colleagues had done in this matter that it's a reasonable possibility that 9 out of 10 of us wouldn't make it if an attack on the grid resulted in the power going out and staying out for a year.